our notes?
I have never been able to make like two people in the same room work on Microsoft Teams, just so you know, because it's not like on Zoom, you can leave audio completely, but I've never found that option on Teams. Maybe you're smarter than I am, but just so you know, we might get feedback with having both of you on.
Yeah, so let me know if Laura, I think
You want me to take me off?
I think mute yourself.
It's been muted. I just turned it off.
Okay. Sit back here. Okay. You can also sit up here at the top with me.
It was not how you were sitting. I could see both of them. It was great. Yeah.
I was like, I don't bite, I promise. And I don't need to be up at the front. Yeah, I figured we could at least record it. I think it helps me sometimes when I'm writing notes. Sarah has agreed to write notes for us, so I don't have to try to do both. So thank you, Sarah, for doing that. And again, I think that recording just kind of helps me making sure that we didn't miss anything. So yeah, so it'll be a short time today. I really appreciate everybody joining in. So I had asked Erin to come back to join us today because her audio was not working last time, and she did have some information about what kind of marketing support Easter Seals could provide. Obviously today doesn't sound that we have anyone from our caregiver not caregiver, sorry, a home care agency. So like normally we have People Care join, Comfort Keepers, and John just moved there, Columbine Caregivers. So those are the three of the ones that we have. They have joined us. I believe in our list is Visiting Angels and Right at Home as well. I will make sure to follow up with them and see if they are interested in continuing to come with us or come meet with us. I don't know that, so that would kind of be more for them, but I think it'll be good just for us to talk about it and be able to know kind of what sort of help Erin can provide with the marketing.
Yeah, yeah, I'll start and give me just 1 second.
And was everyone in the last meeting? I don't know, Deborah and Olivia, if you were able to make it to the last meeting, and I know Heather wasn't.
I was not.
Okay.
I was here for part of it.
Okay. So I'll just give a little rundown. So the reason kind of where the marketing came from is the caregiver agencies. One of the issues that we have identified is not having enough caregivers. And so we were kind of, one of our tasks to do was to get some testimonials from caregivers at home care agencies that can testify or just do some testimonials about what difference it makes to them to be able to provide the respite, to how this makes a difference for them, so that the home care agencies can use it for recruiting. And then we were going to try to reach some caregivers that have received the respite to see what kind of how much of a difference it makes for them, and also use that as kind of for marketing to try to recruit more caregivers. So again, I don't know that with no agencies being here, I'm not sure that that's going to be as relevant, but I think it'll be good to give Erin the opportunity to talk about what she has available, and we'll send it in the notes.
Sure. And yeah, thank you for being so thorough, Sandra, because what I'm going to do actually is take this recording and talk to our marketing consultant about it. So everything you're saying in here, she'll be able to hear, and she is a total marketing whiz expert. She's specifically in the nonprofit space. So she has, she's just great. It's called Catharsis is the name of the agency that we use, and I can send you their information as well. Not so much for you to reach out to them, just so you can, check out their website and stuff. But I'll start with, the stuff we have the power to do, just right away is actually just today, our monthly newsletter went out. So our monthly newsletter goes out the second Thursday of every month. And I can include anything in there, a flyer or just information about an agency. So, and, that option is available anytime if anyone has an event or just any kind of information you want to share. So the newsletter is a great way for us to get that out to a pretty big audience. I think like 1,500 people are on our mailing list, but they have connections, so the power is more in just amplifying the message. And then on our social media account, we've actually, with our marketing consultant, have started kind of a oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the word for it, but just like a weekly provider spotlight. So we also can just share, the name of the agency, what they do, and, for more information, reach out here. So I'm happy to do that anytime. Anybody can just email me and say, like, please post this on your social, and I'm more than happy. I'm always looking for content. So that would be great. On Instagram and Facebook are the two main ones that we go to. And then we can also share, we use Sprout Social. So our marketing consultant could help me share like the data and the reach. And we go over that monthly with her. She'll share, how well this post did and that kind of thing. So we can give that feedback back to you. And then also, she has incredible capabilities and we have funding. So between those two, I think just taking your ideas and your needs and talking to her about what we can do, that's what I would do. And she could attend one of these meetings too, if the timing works out and stuff, and she could come and share about either just some ideas of what folks could do in-house or what would make sense for us to do. Because I know like our newsletter, we do have it broken down by segment. So we could just send like a blast to whenever we have folks sign up for our newsletter, they have the option to choose a region. So Western Slope is definitely one of the regions. So we have like a group identified of folks on the West. So we could just, do a targeted thing, or we've talked about doing like radio or TV advertising also, and we're just not quite there yet. But I think with knowing what your needs are and what you would like to see, I think that would give her a lot to work with. So does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I don't know if, sorry, Erin, I was trying to collect my thoughts. One of the things that I also wanted to talk about today is we mentioned in the last meeting, Tiffany and I will be doing a Stress Busters class with our caregivers starting today, and we kind of struggle to reach individuals. And so I wasn't sure if I know that I have sent it out to the group, and I wanted to touch base on kind of what your thoughts around it were, like what worked, what didn't work. And so again, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, or we can talk about it once we're done talking about the marketing. But just, I guess one of my questions was like saying, you had said we can use your newsletter, we can use your mailing list, and I didn't know if that information had gotten sent out to people.
Well, especially if it already started, I didn't include it in the newsletter, so I apologize for that, but I did. I was contacted by, and let me find her agency, Amy Rowan. Yeah, she's with Tri-County Health. So I definitely shared your email with her, and I might have copied you on an email to her, kind of encouraging her to connect to you, because she said, we're trying to figure out a program for caregivers in our area. So, I mean, right there, she's got the caregivers and was really trying to connect to you, but I don't know what happened. I copied her and told her to reach out to you, and also gave her, all the options, like if they want to get trained to offer it, that's an option too. But yeah, it just kind of fell off. And her last email said, we're trying to figure out a program for caregivers in our area. I don't know that we have the capacity to train, but they wanted to develop a support group. And then she asked if there was anything other than Stress Busters. So I don't know if she wasn't interested in stress busting, or I'm not quite sure where the misalignment was there, but I thought that was going to be a great connection. I'll just forward you this email just so you can kind of see how that went down. But and there's something about stress busting, and you guys offer it. And, I think the 9-week program for the family caregivers is pretty straightforward, but I get contacted by a ton of professionals. Like we always get 1 or 2 people who want to sign up for the 9-week program. And I'm like, this isn't a professional's class, it's for family and they're sharing and being vulnerable. And it's just not really, we want it to be for family caregivers. But there is a professionals, like a 1-day training, and then you can train. So I feel like the whole model of stress busting is just kind of confusing to everyone. So I feel like that's kind of a strange thing. And then, the 9 weeks, we get a lot of folks, and we have one person signed up for our September session, and she already mentioned, like, I'm going to have to leave early. And I was like, cool, I want you to sign up either way, but we will have to talk about that. Like, we may have to adjust the time because at the end is the stress management technique. That's the whole point of the class. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a hard thing to get folks interested in. And then another, just anecdote to share is that we spent a couple of months working with Catholic Charities in Denver because we wanted to do an in-person. We've offered it like 4 times now, but it's always been virtual because we can't. The 3 of us who teach it are in different places, and then it's just too complicated to, do an in-person. So we keep doing it virtual. But we did try for a few months to work with Catholic Charities. We wanted to either use their kinship care program because they're already there. We would just be going to somewhere they're already meeting and then offering it. Or to a like a day program where caregivers are dropping their loved ones off, and then we'd just be like, can you just stay for 90 minutes, or be 90 minutes before pickup, that kind of thing, just trying to meet them where they were. And they didn't get any interest. And then the interest they had was from people who are trying to live independently, and they wanted like a self-care class. And I was like, that is fantastic, and I would love to offer that, but it is not what this is for. And we just thought, or it was just me, really, I didn't want to put people who are living independently and need care with the people doing the care. I thought that would be a recipe for like conflict, because everybody's got stuff to vent and feelings and stuff. So anyway, while I want to serve both of them with this content, not at the same time. So yeah, we have never really gotten a lot of traction we've never been able to make an in-person one happen. And even the Zoom ones, we get about 10 people to commit and to sign up. And then, a lot of folks, most of them show up for the first or second weeks, and then a few drop off. So we're lucky to have about 4 or 5 people stick it out for the whole 9 weeks. So yeah, and yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make that connection work. But yeah, that's what happened.
And Laura, I know you had asked for the flyer, and I know Heather, you were helping spread the word. Do you have any feedback on any caregivers, kind of what their concerns were? Was the flyer confusing? And I can probably pull up the flyer and show you all.
So I think the last 2 months have been very challenging. So, and now that things are kind of calming down, I think, presenting it to like, having you guys come into our case management team and presenting, probably not this time, but our next meeting, like your next session is. And then I've also talked to, management about putting it like on our, like, providing it somewhere in our newsletter or something. And getting the information out there easier. So we can schedule that for the future. I mean, we usually have people come in and talk during our case management meetings on Wednesdays. I think it's the first week of the month, first Wednesday of the month. So we can schedule that for you guys, and then I can meet with management. We have a marketing meeting coming up next week. So it's something that that's something I can bring to the table during that, and maybe we can push it more out there. Yeah, during that time. Yeah.
I mean, I put it on our social media, Facebook. I don't have Instagram yet. I don't have time for that. And then I put it out.
Look at them.
But that sounds like too much work. I'm a millennial, I'm not the next one, right? I'm like, oh, I hate social media. And then I sent that out to my email distribution list. So that for like the whole network for the 4 counties that we serve, but I didn't get any feedback or just like let people know.
Yeah.
It was out there and available. I mean, obviously, since it's in person, it would be more convenient for people residing in Mesa County to attend as opposed to some of like Garfield or Moffett or Rio Blanco. So,
Yeah.
but, and then I did get this virtual Zoom that just posted today from Amy Harris. So, so I don't know.
That's ours, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I
Yeah.
got that one posted today, so you know, I'm happy to spread the word, but I don't know. And I don't know, maybe that 9-week commitment is really hard for caregivers, you know, at least in a row, you know.
Mhm.
Cause you know, sometimes life happens and you miss one and then you might feel guilty for missing one and not want to come back for after that. And so I think that might be a tough one, you know, that's just my opinion, nothing research based or anything, but.
No, I
Yeah.
have always suspected that that's the case. And I like call them and I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. And I like try to follow up to be like, here's what we talked about. Like, if you want to feel included. But yeah, totally have had all of those thoughts because you know, and they even say it when they come back the next time, they are like apologizing. And it's like, you don't have to apologize. This is free. It's okay.
Well, and it's really interesting, Erin. Like I didn't realize even with your that with your other classes that people like start and then they drop off. So
Mhm.
I know Tiffany just put something in the chat, but yeah, so Tiffany and I used to do it before COVID, and we always had a really good turnout with the dementia one. People always like they finished. I don't think we ever had anyone drop off. I don't know, Tiffany, if you remember. I don't think we ever had anyone like just not show up for the dementia one. And like, so what her comment was that we always had a hard time with the chronic illness class. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm not sure what the big difference would be between the dementia one and then the chronic one, other than it's probably just really hard. And a lot of people are probably at the end. And they might, I don't know, there's a lot of support around the dementia one. So maybe that message out there that caregiving is hard for someone living with dementia might be getting out there. And so maybe it is something about just kind of that messaging. We tried to do, so we did after the last meeting or the first meeting that I complained that we couldn't change the flyer. She reached out to Stress Busters and they said, no, you can, which they always told us we couldn't. So I was
Yes.
confused. And I'm gonna try to pull up the flyer.
While
Don't
you're
think
doing that, I think that's such an interesting observation because we have something to describe. Yeah, okay, that's a good point too, Tiffany, about describing what chronic illness means, but also I think that because while we get our folks to like relate to each other, I think maybe there's something about going through the same experience with dementia that maybe they connect to each other. It's a little easier to relate and you're talking about the same things because that, you know, we have the case where some folks kind of dominate the conversation and other folks kind of stay silent. And if they're not really talking about their experience, maybe they just lose interest. But also, I think that's a great point about what chronic illness means. And part of it because our thinking was if we open it up to chronic illness, it includes dementia, so we can just get more participants and it's more inclusive. But yeah, there might be something there where if it's not really if they don't see themselves in the stories being told, they just kind of lose interest. And then, yeah, chronic illness, which we kind of also consider chronic care. It doesn't really have to be like it just as long as you're caring for them repeatedly, but still that's even more vague. So, yeah.
Right. And I'll show you the flyers. Sorry, it's taking me a minute to pull it up on this computer. I have like 3 devices that I use, and so I'm like, don't have all my tabs and everything. The flyer is, I did put it in our resources, the link that I shared. And like, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place today, but did everybody get that link and was able to access like our Google Drive with all of the resources? Heather
Hmm.
probably didn't.
I didn't.
No, I
No, I
took you
don't
off
think
our
so.
mailing list. I'm sorry, Heather.
Just can't commit to coming.
I'll add you back on. I'm sorry. That's,
And Deborah Ewing as well, please.
Deborah, would you put your, contact information in the chat so that I can,
Mhm.
I can make sure that you're added to the list?
Thank you, I will.
Olivia, I don't know if you are in our list either.
I don't think I am as well.
Would you put your contact information and I'll be happy to put it in there.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, so then maybe Tiffany and Laura are the only one that got the link.
Yeah, and I was having a hard time, but I think it might be because it was on my work computer. I
Okay,
have lots of,
Firewalls.
security. So I have not tried it on like a not work computer.
okay. And if there is an issue with the firewall or something like that, we can definitely look at keeping this somewhere else. I think the, again, just previous conversation was the Respite Coalition is working on their website, and hopefully eventually we would like to have all of our events and all of our resources in their website. So we didn't want to come up with something new and recreate the wheel while the while the Respite Coalition was working on their stuff. It's temporary need, but if it's not working, then we definitely want to make sure that we're looking at something that might work. Even if it is maybe just sending emails constantly. Tiffany, I know you don't have chat. Have you tried? Or I know you don't have. Tiffany went. Well, I'll ask her later. I'll see her later today. So this is what our flyer looked like. And I tried to change it a little bit where the wording was something about like, do you provide care for someone that has a chronic illness? And I kind of changed it to, do you provide support? Because I think that's the other part that is like, some people may not identify themselves as caregivers. They might not feel like they provide enough care or enough support or like enough, like hands-on care or whatever to be considered a caregiver. So I kind of changed it to like, do you provide support?
I think that's a great
Mhm.
point.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I mean, maybe there is something that we can do rather than chronic illness. We can use disease. I mean, I don't know. Any thoughts? And maybe, yeah, maybe like we can define it somewhere what a chronic illness is.
I don't know, but I'm gonna throw out for our team for our next offering to just be the dementia, because we actually haven't done a dementia Alzheimer's specific one. We've always done chronic illness. So I would love to experiment with doing the dementia specific one and just see what the response to that is.
Yeah. We had we had a really good turnout. We did also partner kind of like with Senior Daybreak, so which is our day program here. And so we would people would drop off their loved ones at Senior Daybreak, and then the place where we were meeting was like 5 minutes away. They could have walked there. Literally was in the same campus, and then they would just leave them there. They would come and do the class, and then could go on with their day, since they could stay there for like 5 to 8 hours. And so that worked really well for us. The dementia ones have always had a higher turnout, and we actually we did get a few people that were interested in this class, and they were kind of more interested in, or like their loved ones had dementia, and so the time wasn't necessarily the best, from 4 to 6. That's the worst time, as sometimes, to leave your loved one with dementia alone. And so we kind of put them in a wait list for dementia one, and we have about 6 people, I think, in that list already that are interested. So
Great.
Yeah, that's a really good thought, because a lot of them are sundowning at that time.
Yeah, so this was gonna create more issues. We have 4 people sign up. We also have, I don't know, I guess, sorry. We have 4 people sign up, officially. We do have, there's 2 people that and it is really interesting, I think, too, just thinking about the caregivers, because I have 2 people that they completed our Matter of Balance class, our balance class. They also, they committed to the 8 weeks, they came every week, and they were able to do that. And now the 9 weeks is like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know that if, and so I think it's, again, just like, it's really hard for caregivers to take a break and to accept help and to put themselves first. And so I've been calling them, and I'm gonna call them again, and then try to convince them to join us. Again, it's something that they can obviously, like, they were obviously able to manage that time with the Matter of Balance class, but I think it's been really hard for them to take it for themselves, or when it comes to caregiving. So that's kind of why I wanted to, like, see if anybody had any feedback, like if anybody had talked to someone and there were any barriers, like whether it was the time, the location, the 9 weeks, we tried to put in the flyer this time that there is respite available, because we know that that could be a barrier. So yeah, we just didn't know if anybody had tried to talk to anyone and encourage them to come. No.
I'm wondering if just some of it is just the general return after COVID, like a lot of people just aren't going out as they once used to, and I think they have no intention to kind of go back to that type of lifestyle. I think they've become more comfortable at home, so especially, well, and now we're hearing cases of COVID creeping back up and whatnot, so I don't know if that's kind of a barrier in itself. It's just the people's lifestyles have changed permanently since the pandemic. And I don't know. But yeah, we also know, like, a lot of our caregivers didn't want to do anything virtually either, because it's a support group virtually is much different than in person. So
Yeah. Okay, Tiffany said she can get in. That dementia one is amazing. And it being at the hospital might be spooky for people coming out of COVID for some caregivers. So, yeah, that is, possibly true. And so, yeah, definitely some things to keep in mind. I think it might be worth us maybe doing a survey at the end of the class, or even like at the beginning. That's today, so probably not. But maybe at the end of the class to see what worked and what didn't work, and kind of how we can advertise them. Like what would help them, what convince them to actually join, and try to get some information around that. And if you have any further thoughts, like I said, if you want to, I'll add Deborah and Olivia, I'll add you, and Heather, I'll add you to the mailing list. But if you have any thoughts about the flyers and stuff like that, feel free to let me know. We want to make sure we're looking at what works and doesn't work. And we will let you know kind of how this class goes. And we do have, so I think per the program, we are not allowed to have anyone else join after completing like the second class. So if you do have anyone that you think could really benefit from it, if you can't convince anyone to join us, they could still come next week and stay for the rest of the class. We wouldn't be able to have anyone join afterwards, but they can come next week and join us after.
Okay, great.
Erin, I'll let you get back to the marketing part, because sorry, I interrupted that.
No, that's okay. I didn't really have anything else to add. More just, I would be really interested in having our consultant come talk to this group, or and I'm also interested in sharing this recording with her and just getting her thoughts on maybe some because I know she's already thinking about it. She did what she's done for us so far has well, it really hasn't focused on regional because I think she's just kind of waiting for me, like, what do you need? And so I think this will give her a lot to work with. And she's just so incredibly creative. And she knows all the channels and knows how to reach people. So yeah, I would love to bring her in and speak more to that. And then yeah, basically all I can do is like amplify whatever you're already doing. And I don't know if it would help to amplify it statewide, but it might not hurt. Somebody over here on the east side might know somebody in the Western Slope, and so expanding the audience might help. But yeah.
Did it get advertised in the Beacon, Sandra? Or was it too short of a time frame from when you
Yeah,
posted? Because I was thinking that Beacon is such a good media resource on the Western Slope.
yeah. We had it in the Beacon as just kind of like in their support group section.
Okay.
I believe it should be there. I can make sure that Deborah puts it back in there. Just because I think one of our thoughts was like, well, even if they miss this one, like one is like we got to start somewhere and figure out what works and doesn't work, and again, what they like and don't like, and so the other thought is like we just wanted people to know that it exists, and then just kind of like even if they missed this one, if they could just call us and give us their information for the next one, then we can go ahead and sign them up. So I'll make sure that she has it listed so people know that it exists as well. So
That's a great idea because we get a lot of people saying because we end up just picking a time, because we either get asked what is the time or we are told that time doesn't work for me. We can't win it every time, so we usually just pick a time, and then a lot of time folks are like, that's the exact time I have to go pick someone up, or that kind of thing. So but that I love the idea of putting it like, if this time doesn't work for you, let us know and we will offer it again. So we'll let you know when it's offered again, because we don't really say that explicitly on our flyer, and maybe we should.
yeah, now that we know, we can change it.
Yeah. So, and like, if someone emails me and says, I would love to attend, but this didn't work, I immediately put them on our spreadsheet, and I just sent an email out to those folks, like, you've expressed interest in the past, and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Deborah, did you have any thoughts? I thought I heard you.
I'm sorry, I have a windstorm coming up. I had to close the window. I just really appreciate this group. I haven't been able to attend every time, but we have tried so long and so hard to get something going here. And so I'm getting ideas from listening, and I guess my one question would be with the stress busters. Did I hear you say something about training? Like, there's a train, is there so if we wanted to do that here, what would that look like?
Yeah, I don't know, Sandra, if you want to, Sandra, how did you get trained to do it?
Me?
I'm not.
Yeah.
So we started with no, I don't think we're one of the few originals. So we started with there was a group that got trained in Colorado. So Tiffany was still an options counselor with ADHD back then. So they brought the trainers, the creators of the program to Denver. And so Tiffany and I got trained from the Western Slope. Region 10 had sent in some representatives, and that just didn't end up working. We have, I know Pikes Peak. I know getting his name right now. Kent was trained there, and I think he still has that going strong. Back then, Megan with the Respite Coalition got trained, and so we all got trained as master's trainers. So Tiffany and I are master trainers, which means that we can train anyone.
Cool.
And we do have to complete a class with them, so that's kind of where can get a little bit difficult. I think Deborah, just because like being not in Mesa County, we would, I would have to
Geographically.
drive there but we can probably,
Yeah.
we can probably figure it out if you're truly interested. And it sounds like maybe Tri-Health County might be interested. So, if we had enough people that were interested, I would be happy to do something, since we do have the capacity to do that. And then also, like, I don't know, Erin, like if we have enough of an interest, maybe we could just get the creators to come again to Denver and create some more master trainers around the area.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, because I wasn't sure if everybody had to do that or if that's just what we did, and we did it virtually. We did our master trainer class virtually, and then yeah, I don't remember because I don't think that the creators sat through our first program with us, but they did. We had to do like a like they assigned everybody a module and we all had to present like during the training. But Amy would have to correct me because she remembers everything. But if that was wrong, but I don't remember them like sitting in on our first offering. And maybe that was different because it was 3 of us. But either way, yeah, I think there's an element
And I
where you
think-
do have to be trained through WellMed. Yeah.
And I think the difference, Aaron, might be like, because we got it, because it was the same thing. They did assign a module to us. It was like a 2-day training. After the first day, they assigned a session for us
I
to
see.
present as a group. And so my guess is just that because we're getting it from the creators, that they did not think they needed to sit through our classes versus like, at this point, it would be me presenting it to someone and then just, I think, sitting with them to make sure that it is following fidelity and stuff like that.
Totally. And I see
That's
exactly what you're saying now. So yeah, maybe it is
probably
just
'cause
easiest to have them come. Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
And honestly, because I'm gonna be honest, I trained Sarah. I don't know that we're gonna be able to do a class because we have staff changes. So I'm gonna have to retrain her technically. But I'm gonna be honest, I did not do as in depth as the trainers did. So I think that might be some of that. Like when you do the trainer, like there might just, because you don't get the same from the creators, there might just be the need to be there more often. And I could be
think that's
wrong. I'm not
exactly-
100% sure if I have to be there for every single class. I want to say that they told us they wanted us to be there for session 3 when we talk about the problems, and then another one, I think that like 2 difficult ones that they at least wanted us to see those.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for remembering all that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, again, just another reason I feel like every time somebody reaches out to me about stress busting, I'm like, how much time do you have to talk about how complicated this kind of is?
So, and another quick question, how are the people that provide the class to the caregivers, right? How are they reimbursed? Are they is it a paid thing or? Because you said the class is free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have that
So
right?
so we get paid by our employers that allow us to do it. And so, for example, like I work for ADRC, Sarah works for ADRC. So if we were to do any classes, we have funding to charge our time to that program.
Gotcha. Okay.
Tiffany, her employer has allowed her to use her time to do this class because it kind of goes along with her job description. So it's just
Okay.
been part of our jobs.
Okay.
We do, yeah, she's just winging it over there. We're just so yeah, so we're just I think it's something that falls under our current employers, if that's something that they would support. We can provide the training and then the employers would just have to reimburse for the time. There's a few
Okay.
things that I think we could support, like snacks. I'm looking at Heather because she's our funder. If under our evidence-based funding, if we can provide food for classes, maybe,
For your classes.
or for other areas, if we want.
Probably. Would be specific unless I don't know. Was it the person from Community Connections asking? Because I was thinking the San Juan Basin Area Agency on Aging has funding, I don't know how it's allocated, but they have both caregiver funding and evidence-based disease prevention, health promotion funds that could be utilized to help pay for an individual who is providing the Stress Busters class to caregivers. But I don't know, and I could probably find out, I could follow up with the director there to see how they use their dollars, or if it exists in their region already, because I don't think it does.
Yeah, I would say,
I mean,
Deborah, I
would-
think like,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh, I would just say, if you do have people that are interested in doing, and that is an issue, just knowing how they will get paid or where they're gonna get the snacks or the funding for the snacks, let us know and we can reach out to their local AAA and make that connection, because I think most AAAs have some sort of evidence-based funding.
Okay.
All AAAs get caregiver dollars and evidence-based funding, but they may already run internal or have contracted programs that utilize those funds. But I also know there's some AAAs across the state that struggle to use those particular types of funds, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, so I think, I mean, there's definitely the recognition of the need to provide our families with that kind of support, and there's definitely the willingness, I believe, and I'll talk around and I'll talk to my supervisors and different people, but so yeah, any information that you could give me as far as like the flyer that you were showing us, Sandra, is that does that describe, would that be descriptive of the
I'll pull it up
program? Like if,
again.
yeah, if I wanted to take this, if I wanted to share this with my supervisor, for example, and say, is this something that you think we might be able to provide?
And
So,
and honestly, I would say that the flyer is not very descriptive.
yeah, that's kind of
And I
what I'm
think it's
thinking.
hard to make a flyer that's very descriptive. I think that's kind of why Laura was saying if we could come and present it to the case managers so that the case managers knew more in detail what the program was, and then they could advertise it, that might be better. Like I said, they did say
Okay.
we do have an option to change the flyer, so that if we think that there's a way that we could make it more descripted, without,
On showing the materials could be helpful too.
yeah,
Could share materials with Deborah about what's in the class, what they cover, because it's like a full manual that you get during the class. So,
Okay, yeah, so talking about that yeah, what kind of things are available to support it? So you talking with you, Sandra, or whoever, I could see about setting up a presentation to the case managers and whoever might be interested about the program? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? Okay.
yeah,
And
I think, yeah,
and it
I'll
could
be
be
happy.
virtual. I don't know why it couldn't be virtual. Do you? I mean, is there a reason why it would have to be in person?
So I will tell you our reason, and then like I said, Aaron does the virtual, so I think I think it could work. I don't know that it wouldn't, but when COVID started, we were in the middle of a class. We had about 3 weeks left, 3 sessions left, and so we kind of put it on hold for a minute, and then we tried to finish it virtually. There were a couple things that we noticed from our caregivers. One of them was we had a few, like we had one that had to go out to the car so that their loved one could not overhear them. They were really used to getting a lot of the frustrations and concerns and just working through some of the stuff. And so they were really concerned about their loved one overhearing them. We had someone else, their loved one was right there, like we could see him walking around behind them. And so again, that like freedom to really share and truly share what their concerns are, that could be some limitations for the person whose loved one is right there. And even for the other
Right.
participants, they may not want to say anything that says, hey,
Yeah.
you know, it's really frustrating to always take care of this person and always do this. Like they may not even feel comfortable sharing if they think someone else could overhear.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes perfect sense. And it's almost like getting that distance probably is really therapeutic too. Getting
Yes,
that space, you know,
I
away
think
from, yes.
yes, I think one of the things that we really push, like I said, we had like 3 really successful dementia specific classes. And even like we did have a couple general ones. They were less people, but they were still pretty successful. Um, one of the things that the class really taught them was I can take an hour and a half out of my day to take care of myself, or not even my day, my
Right.
week, like an hour and a half
Right.
each week that I can take care of myself. Like I can do that. There is
Yeah.
room in my day to do that. There is the possibility, like I did it for 9 weeks, I can keep doing it. And so we did have a lot of caregivers that continued to meet even after our class ended. Tiffany and I
So that-
saw some, like I think like a year after that class ended, they were meeting at a local coffee shop, and they were saying that they were able to continue that and just taking time for themselves.
Isn't that the best case scenario? I mean, that's perfect? I mean, that's what you want to see happen, right?
Yes.
Is that they create their own support network.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And so
Okay, well,
that's why we decided to stick to in person, and kind of the benefits and the drawbacks that we saw of in person. Erin, I know you typed it up. I can either read it, or if you want to share it, can read it.
Just
Okay.
yeah, all of the
Okay.
things you said are a concern. And yeah, we did, we have had folks, yeah, we have had folks say that, you know, yeah, they don't have any space, or, you know, we've had folks be very quiet on the call, and then we kind of suspect maybe they don't feel comfortable sharing. But and then yeah, we had one person who just didn't have a webcam. They were on an old desktop, and there was just no way. And, you know, we didn't want to tell them that they couldn't participate, but there's just so much more connection with camera. So,
Okay.
and yeah, not everybody has that. So it can be limiting. It can include a lot more people, but then for a few, they just don't have the technology.
So I'm thinking we already have a group, we already have 2 groups going, support groups going, one in Durango and one in Pagosa. You know, we're these little communities, this conglomeration of separate communities. And I could definitely see it working in Pagosa, and I think I could also see it working in Durango. So I guess what I'll do is start asking around about the interest, and then, you know, I
And let
mean,
me
I would
know.
love for them to get more information about it. So we'll have to figure out how to make that happen.
Yep, let me know. I'm happy to meet with anyone and tell them more about the program, because like I say, yeah, the flyer doesn't say everything, and so that's kind of why we kind of been pushing people who know about it. Can you tell people
Yeah.
about it? Like, can you share what it is? Because I don't know that the flyer necessarily does.
Yeah, and I really like, and I'm going to use that last example you gave, Erin, about the group of people that continued to meet, you know,
Yeah.
after, because I think that's, you know, that would be really the end goal, I would think. So
Yep.
that's great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Of
time.
course. All right. Anyone has any more thoughts on stress busters before I move on? Okay. One of the things that I wanted to update this group on just really quick. I know we talked about the caregiver conference and doing a caregiver conference sometime in the spring. I got a phone call from Robbie with Caring Transition. So some of you may be familiar with her, saying, I'm planning this event for people to get information about what's available in the area. And she just kind of started the ball rolling, and orally told her that we had in mind to do a caregiver conference. And so we thought we would take this as a kind of test run. It is not really kind of what we had in mind, because really her goal is not necessarily around caregivers, it's around letting older adults know what's available. So like we're gonna ADRC is gonna be there, we're gonna have health talk there, and kind of some talks around like, okay, what's the difference between an assisted living facility and a nursing home and independent living, and so it's not necessarily around caregiving, but it's just kind of like that format. She's gonna offer food, just we're gonna do it from like 10 to 2. And so I just wanted to let you all know that that was happening. And my thought is, again, using that kind of like as a test run. And we did talked about doing some surveys about like what worked, what didn't work. Did they like the time? Did they like the location? Did they, what they would have liked to see? And so I just wanted to bring that up and with us having access to that population, I wanted to ask if there was anything that you all thought we should ask in the survey in regards to like getting prepared for us having our conference in the future.
So do you have dates and times selected?
Yes, I can send the flyer to everyone. I can try to pull it up again. Sorry, work has been also super busy for me this month, and so I was not as ready for things as I would have liked to be, but
While you're doing that, Sandra, I would love to connect you to the folks in Larimer County because they do a big caregiver conference. They're getting ready to do it again this year, and they're expecting like 80 to 100 caregivers to attend. And I know this isn't their first time doing it, so I'm sure they would have all kinds of learnings and stuff to share. So yeah, and you know, and I know that like I don't know if they provide vouchers or what exactly that looks like, but you know, letting folks have the time to get, they might even just like give them some kind of stipend for coming. There might be some kind of incentive they use, but yeah, I'd love to connect you to them.
yeah, definitely. And I think Eva's not here today. Not sure, I didn't hear from her why she was not able to make it, but I know she's having one in the fall, and we were gonna also do a survey just to ask about what their thoughts were, what worked, what didn't work. And so
And we used to do one in Mesa County.
Yeah.
The last one was in 2018. And we initially, when we started it, I think we did it for like 6 years. And we had like 200 or 300 people come to the convention center. And then each year, like the numbers dwindled. And like 2018, we had it at a local workforce center because it was less expensive and we only had like 20 people come. So we decided we were going to take a break in 2019 and then regroup in 2020 and maybe do something different. But then the pandemic hit and we haven't gone back to it. But usually it was like a half-day session and we did like caregiver pampering and then like seminars and stuff. So, and I know in my other counties, we do kind of well, we did like a virtual one this last year. So we had a couple virtual sessions and then a big get together like on June 15th with an in-person speaker. And then, because we were trying not to do a big scale thing every single year, because I feel like it gets, you know, people get burned out on it, so.
yeah, and I definitely think like I think there have been two thoughts kind of being thrown around, and like I think last time we had like a bigger group, but there were like I think two things that this coalition can identify that they wanted to do, and one was educational nights, you know, kind of resource education, and then that kind of evolved into the caregiver conference, and you know, kind of brought back the thought of the caregiver conference. So yeah, I think it would be good to know, like, because and I know, like I said, we have a small group, so I think next time I didn't send an agenda and a reminder, and so maybe that's what happened, but why we don't have as many people show up today. It should be on everybody's calendar now, but you know, when we have a bigger group, we can talk about like what do we want to try, I think, and how do we want that to look like? Do we just want it to be a resource fair, just an informational night? Maybe it can be virtual. Maybe we can create some virtual educational nights about like how respite works or respite options and different things like that. that can just live in the internet for people to find. So, so yeah, I think we can definitely, once we get it together again with the bigger group, we can talk about, do we want to start with some of those? But I wanted to, yeah, to see if there was still interest and just kind of what thoughts we had, that what things do we really want to test. So this is the flyer. It's a little bit chaotic. I didn't make it. And it's just kind of the theme is like, are you ready to transition? Again, we have caring transitions, we got comfort keepers, we have solstice, pace coming, hope west. They're gonna give people the option to sign up for a 5-minute massage. um and so we will be doing, like, it would be 10 to 2. We'll be providing lunch. And so again, this one isn't necessarily tailored to caregivers. It'll just be older adults in general, which again, I think kind of our coalition kind of decided that we're not just going to focus on older adults. So that is going to be some of the difference, like how do we reach the younger disabled adults or even children, and making sure that we're not forgetting about them. But that is happening. I'll send it out. Again, the focus is kind of like on older adults, and kind of like, think what they said is like, join us for an informative day with some of the best resources surrounding senior life stages. So again, it's about those transitions, and are you ready for more care? Are you ready for more support? But we will see. One of the things that I wanted to see is like, do people like the time? How long do they stay? We had some concerns about, like, I guess someone had a concern that people would leave after lunch. And so as you see, they do want us to raffle prizes, which are going to be raffled at the end, and people are only going to be able to get them if they stay. So just kind of testing some of those things. And I wanted to bring it to the group and see if, since we have the opportunity to maybe reach this group of people that committed to come to a conference sort of thing, if there was anything that we wanted to ask about. Anything that we want to make sure we're testing.
I think it's good. Yeah, historically, people have left after lunch unless there's, even if you had seminars and stuff like that, they just leave. They're ready to be done. So I would anticipate if you had prizes, like they may stay for a little while, maybe 1 o'clock, but they may not stay crazy long. So.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it when the time came up, because it was 10 to 4. So we're like,
Yeah. I just don't think, yeah, that's a long time too, so.
I guess when we're used to conferences that are 2 to 3 days. Oh, like 4 hours.
Working professional, it's fine, but your target audience, they're done by noon,
Yeah.
Noon or 1 o'clock, they get their lunch and
Nap
they're
time.
done.
Yeah.
Nap time, or like they just are tired and ready to just go home and relax for the rest of the day, or and recharge for evening. I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll definitely make sure to ask that. Maybe it is better to do maybe like a breakfast, like 8 to 12 or something. If I don't know.
To see.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We can definitely ask about the
Good thought.
time.
Yeah.
I tried to
Mm.
track down a flyer. It was up in Larimer County. They do a caregiver pampering day. I couldn't find a flyer, but I found a sponsorship form, Sandra, and then I just sent you Danny and Brittany's contact information and just asked them, like, can you just share, what works, what doesn't, that kind of thing. Because I think
And-
they've done it for a few years now.
And maybe, like, cause I know, kind of, again, one of the thoughts behind this coalition was to identify gaps in the community that we wanted to meet. And so last time, we kind of came up with like the shortage and caregivers and the kind of the conference. So kind of wondering, Erin, if maybe next time we can have your marketing team join us and maybe see if the Latimer anyone from Latimer County could join us and talk about their successes and what they've tried, what's worked, and just kind of provide some more information if that's something the coalition is still trying to address.
Totally. Yeah, that would be great use of their time. And then I think as long as we give Allegra, she's our marketing contractor. I think as long as we give her enough notice, she would be open to that because it's a lot of good data for her.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good plan for next meeting, which will be in 2 months. And then we'll just make sure to let them know ahead of time, and then also remind them the day before. Maybe I always go back and forth, and I mean, I guess I should ask. I mean, you all are here, so maybe you all don't need reminders, but are reminders more helpful like a day or two before or like a week before? The meeting should be in all the time. Okay. The meeting
Maybe like 5 or 6, but at least a week, 1 week or 2 before, and then,
Maybe
maybe
the
the
day
next day or the day
Yeah.
Day or
before.
two before, yeah.
yeah.
A calendar, but when things get busy, it gets.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll just make sure to send better reminders, because last time I did send the minutes and everything like the day off, and I was like, well, like, I don't know if that's gonna work or not. And that's why today I didn't really even bother, because I remember yesterday and I was like, might be too late, but it might have made a difference. We had more people last time. We had about 13 people, I think. So it might have.
Still that end of summer, so people are finishing up on their big time away. I think as the fall rolls in, more people are gonna be available because they're here.
Yeah, and we always have the option of doing virtually, so obviously they can join us from anywhere. But yeah, and so I'll send more reminders next time. I might need Sarah's help sending out reminders. Because she reminds me to leave for meetings sometimes, so.
You can set it, maybe
Nice.
just, I don't know, email system you can use, but you can set timed emails.
Yeah,
Some of the system. I don't know.
yeah,
In Google, you can. You
Yeah.
can, like, get it all done in ahead of time.
True. Yeah, I think you can do that. I think you can do that with Teams, like set it up like a week ahead or something, but I'm always nervous.
Schedule
Fancy
emails.
functions.
Yeah, it's a fancy function. So yeah, so when I'm working at 8 p.m., I'm not like
Yeah.
sending out emails at 8 p.m.
So then no one really knows what time you're working.
Yeah, nobody has to know. So I mean, it's like Sarah, my boss is not here today, so I was like, but yeah, I think it was Sarah the other. She was like, "Why were you working at 11?" I was like, "I had time." But yeah, but yeah, we'll make sure to send some reminders then, and I think that would be good to just kind of invite some of those people that have done this before we start doing our thing, and see what's worked, what hasn't worked, and then maybe we can dive more into what do we want to do when we have more people. So
You have like the opportunity to do the web page, access to other people having access to a web page or anything by then. It's probably
I mean-
database.
yeah, Erin, I don't know how's your website redesign going. Do you have any thoughts on when that would be available?
Which you mean like when for us to post events?
Yeah, and kind of like resource. I think we talked about like resources living somewhere.
It's going okay, but that would actually be a great thing to talk to our marketing because she's kind of leading that effort too
Okay.
with the guy that designs our website. But we did just recently talk about going ahead and adding events because I don't know how to do it, but I know Carson, the guy that runs our event does, or that runs our website does. So we do there is a drop down to search for events. We've just never used it before, so we don't know how to use it. So before we did want to get like a calendar up on there that's like people can just look at the calendar and see all the dates. But before that, because I think that's a bigger undertaking, just adding them to our list of resources under the events tab, I think would help. And then, yeah, the breaking out for, because we just have the regional landing page right now. But, she's asking me all the time, like, what are our priorities? And if we just need to move that up in priority, I think we could. But yeah, short-term solution is us adding events. And I could show it to you really quick. If I can share my screen, it would look like this. Just gonna, oh, whoops, sorry, shared my wrong screen. Okay, it would be like, find events and training. And then it looks just like it's, yeah, we have 0 results, of course, but it would appear here. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if the register or resource. Yeah, the register or resource doesn't work, of course. So that's what we need to get up and running. But that is an option.
So that'll be good. We'll also ask about where we're at with the resources, because yeah, I think we would like a place where to refer all of our caregivers, just one place rather than go to the ADLC website and go to Ariel's website and go to, you know,
Yeah, one
Mhm.
central.
AAA website. Like if we could have one central location, I think that was kind of one of our.
That
goals.
doesn't mean you couldn't like have the link on your.
Exactly.
Of all of
Of,
us.
you know, I could put the, potentially put the Respite Coalition link on there.
Yeah.
Some agencies might be finicky on what you can put links to, but yeah,
Not the national programs. I keep getting emails that's like, can you add our link on your website? And I'm always like, we're not allowed to, sorry. But anyone else, I can put their link.
I think the big thing though is like, people don't know what respite even means.
Yeah,
They're like, what's
Mhm.
that?
Well, and it's different
Mhm.
across the board.
That's right.
Right.
So many,
Mhm.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So Respite is find different ways,
Yeah.
different agencies.
exactly. Like, for example, like I can think of like long-term care Medicaid, have the respite benefit, but it has to look like this. Versus like, we have our voucher directed respite, which can look however you want it to, and you know.
As a caregiver, you don't care. I just need help, and I need help now, and who's gonna give it to me?
Yeah,
So, I think that would be helpful is to have a central location and then it has a definition, like.
Yeah.
This area or this organization can do this, and this organization can do this, and if you need financial support, they can do it over here. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Good thinking.
Right.
Not that it's a solution to that, but Heather, if it makes you feel better, our marketing consultant got us on a, and is that word that like a series? That's what I was trying to think. A series of myth busting in our social media of like the first one was what is respite care. So yeah, we're really trying to, you know, kind of go back to basics in some ways and make sure everybody knows what we're even talking about.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, does anybody have anything else to bring to the group? I know some of the things that we had put in our agenda, or kind of, again, another one of the goals of this coalition was to share resources, share events that are happening, and then also bring up any questions that we may have. Any difficult clients that we're dealing with that we can't find resources for.
I have 2 things, but they're very like admin. So if people have other more interesting things, go ahead.
Any resources coming up and any new resources that we can think of?
My only thing is that we're doing a virtual stress busting, but you are also doing one, so it's just duplicative.
It's good to know that you have the virtual one, I think, because some people do, I think some people have asked. So,
Sure, yeah, I'll forward you our flyer to, and then I have 2 other things.
Heather already sent it to me.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
But
Yeah.
if you,
I sent it to like my network, but.
but if you want to send it to the group, this group, that'll be great, Erin.
Oh,
That
cool.
would be
Okay, I
great.
will.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will. And then, cool. So November 1st, we're going to do our quarterly statewide meeting. So 2 things with that, Sandra, if you want to say anything about the Western Slope meeting, you are welcome to. We always give it a plug on the statewide meeting, but if there's anything you want to come present about, you always have a time. And then also we're going to do a panel. Our topic, we just kind of sorted it out. Our topic is going to be, oh shoot, of course I don't have it right in front of me. Give me 1 second, but it's like stories from the field. We talked a little bit about story sharing earlier, but there, Amy just phrased it so well. What's the status? What's the status of respite care in Colorado? And then highlighting stories from the field. So what we're looking for is a few panelists, like any of you on this call would be a great panelist, people who work directly either with the direct service providers or in like scheduling respite and dealing with like a shortage of care providers or successes too. It doesn't always have to be negative things, but yeah, just if you are, you know, someone who you know, manages or provides respite care, that's who we want to have on the panel. So if any of you, or if you know someone who might be a good panelist for that, let me know. The only person I've reached out to so far is at the Seniors Resource Center here in Denver. And they're out of the office right now. But anyway, we're looking for panelists for that. And then also last thing, we are trying to, we have this supplemental funding, some other funding that's specifically for caregiver training, which is very much the stress busting program, but we already provide that. So we're looking for more caregiver training options. Like one we recently found was a CPR class for caregivers that's offered in Spanish. So any kind of specifically like skills training, either like skills training, and a big one Amy's looking for is like transfer, like bed transfers, like teaching family caregivers how to do that safely. So like skills training or like legal training, which I don't know if that's even a thing, but like, or just like teaching people how to navigate the legal system, or medical, you know, any kind of medical information, but just kind of beyond like just a support group, something that's going to teach them like a skill. So we're looking for ways to spend that funding. So if you know of any programs or anybody that's in need of funding to run a program like that, let me know. And I can send this to you in email too, Sandra, if that's easier.
Yeah, I think if you want to send it to the whole group, like I said, we don't have everyone here, but I'm sure some of the home care agencies in our list would be happy to be a panelist. Panelist.
Panelists, yeah.
Of some
Amy
sort.
and somebody from Hilltop could maybe join.
Yeah.
She thought it would be a good place.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, maybe Sarah wants to be a panelist.
Volunteers.
I'm good.
Here.
She's right there. No, this Sarah.
Oh, I thought you meant.
No, Sarah Connor. I was like, maybe she wants to be a panelist.
No, I think Sarah Hefner should do it. I'm good.
Okay. We'll volunteer Sarah Hefner. Well, yeah, but yeah, I'll check in with someone from our senior day break program. I think Abby's back from sabbatical. Tabby.
Yeah,
Tabby.
she's back.
Okay.
Cool.
I was gonna let her come back from sabbatical and settle for a little bit before I was like, join this meeting. So, okay, good. I'll bother her. So yeah, maybe she'll want, I'm sure she would love to go. Perfect. Rachel, I think you joined after the introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Rachel Sterry and I work for People Care. So I was just coming on here to get some information to give to everybody else that I work with. And I think that you guys have some really good resources. I really enjoyed this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Rachel. I'm glad that you were able to join us. I was talking about not having any caregiver agencies here. Rachel's right here, so.
Sorry, I'm kind of quiet.
No worries. Thank you for joining us. All right, well, I think that's it. We'll send out the minutes. Thank you so much for your time, everyone, and reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.